Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Think Clinical podcast. My name is Hamza. It's amazing to be here. I appreciate you all for the support and all the feedback that you give me. We would like to acknowledge each and every one of you who has contributed one way or the other by giving us feedback, either through the comment section or reaching out to us directly. We also appreciate those who have reached out to us for help, for support, for guidance on what they need to do on different things. I appreciate that. I'm always committed to making the time and putting in the effort to respond to each and every one of you. So if I haven't done that already, I will do that, I promise. Welcome to another exciting episode. As I always say, my name is Hamza. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. And today we'll be looking at how you can navigate change. So you need to look at how and when to pivot. And when we talk about pivoting, it's a very fundamental change in business strategy, which can often be the key to unlocking new opportunities. So when you start, you have a plan, you know what you want to do as a business person, you have a business plan in place, you have your model, you are confident that this is going to work. But then it may get to a time when you need to adapt or change your strategy. You need to make a fundamental change. But then the two important question is, when do you make that change? What are the signs that you need to look out for that demand that you need to pivot? You need to make a change in your strategy. And if you identify the when, you need to also identify the how you have to pivot, because those two are very important. And if you're not able to get them right, you may identify when you want to, but you pivot wrongly, and that's going to be a problem. So let's look at this from recognizing the need to pivot. When do I need to pivot? One, there may be market shifts, and so in the form of maybe there are technological advancements, right? There are shifts in consumer behavior. Let's take COVID-19 and telemedicine. These are very important things. You have seen new regulations, so you have to look into those. Now, this is the first thing. When you have market shifts that are motivated by technology, market shifts that are motivated by new regulations, by new consumer behavior, these are things that you have to look out for. It tells you a story, it tells you a pattern, it tells you a need that is arising, that you as a company need to be able to identify and adapt your strategy to. Secondly, when you have a stagnant or declining growth, you need to sit back and reconsider what strategy or what you have in place right now. And it means that's another very clear indication of when to pivot. Again, a stagnant or declining growth. 3, when you have customer feedback, and the feedback from these customers is that the services you are providing does not meet their needs, and this is continuous, consistent feedback, then you need to sit back, look at your strategy, and pivot. Number 4, when you look at competitive pressure, your competitors are gaining ground with new products and services that you cannot match at all, then it's time for you to pivot. The 5th one is internal challenges. When you're having persistent internal challenges, let's say you're having very high employee turnover, there's very low morale within your organization, there's a lot of operational inefficiencies within your organization, this is a time you need to sit back and pivot. Let's look at the 5 again. 1, when there are market shifts, that can be dictated by new regulations, that can be dictated by technological advancements, new consumer behavior, you need to consider pivoting. 2, when as a company you notice you are stagnant or you are declining in growth, you need to pivot. 3, customer feedback, when customers are continuously and consistently telling you that you are not meeting their needs, you need to pivot. When you have competitive pressure, where you've realized that your competitors are gaining grounds for products and services that or new products and services that you can't match, then you need to think about pivoting. The 5th one is internal challenges. You need to get to a point where you can pivot based on your internal challenges. You're having high employee turnover, low morale, your operational processes are inefficient. When you see all these things, you need to pivot. Now, how do you do that? So I said we're going to talk about two things in this podcast: when you do that and how you're going to do that. Now, how do you do that? First of all, you should not make any decision that changes the dynamics of a company without doing research. And pivoting is a fundamental change in your business strategy. So when you're making such a big change, you have to be sure, and the word is you have to be sure, that this change you are making is going to meet the needs that you've identified, the when factor you've identified. Now, so you need to conduct a very thorough research. You need to understand trends. Look at your customer needs again. Look at potential opportunities. And everything you're looking at in this should be data driven. It shouldn't be based on sentiments or people's opinion. It should be data driven, that people or customers need this. This is the new trend of consumer behavior. These are the potential opportunities that are out there, and it is proven with the data that you have first. So you need to do the customer research. The second one is to engage with your stakeholders, because again, this is a change in your business strategy. It could make or break you. So before you make a move on any of this, you need to make sure your stakeholders are on board with it, they understand what you're trying to do, and it aligns with the company's vision and core values. Now, third one is to create a clear vision. So you are changing strategy, so that changes your vision as a company. But do not get that twisted. Your core values as a company are still the same. So make sure in developing that clear vision based on the need to change, it still aligns with the core values of the company. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is that you need to develop a strategic plan. So don't just jump in there and start going and hoping that things will line up. Develop a strategic plan. You have to outline the steps needed to implement a pivot, and that includes your timelines, that includes the resources that you need or that will be required, and then it also needs you to evaluate the potential risk of that change you are making to your business strategy. Now, the fourth one is to pilot. So before you fully commit to a pilot, you need to commit to the whole pivot. You need to consider a pilot first. Make sure that you are not just jumping all in and hoping that things will go well. You need to test it out, and then you need to invest in training and development. Make sure that your teams have the capacity and the training that they need. And then once you implement, you need to continuously monitor, and you need to continuously be ready to adapt, because things are not always going to go as you plan. So it needs to come with continuous monitoring of whatever new strategy or change you've implemented, and adapting as and when the need arises. Now, I'm just going to go through this, but when you're looking at the when, especially the when to pivot, there are some psychological barriers that you need to be aware of, and they will come into play. The first one is the sunk cost fallacy, and I've discussed these in my blog post. I've discussed this in previous episodes. But when there's a need for you to pivot, one of the barriers you will come across is the sunk cost fallacy, which just tells you that you've spent so much money already in the strategy you have, and you have already dedicated so much resources to it that you see or you feel the need to stick to that strategy, whether it's working or not, whether you are declining in growth or you're just stagnant in growth, or there are market shifts that are obvious to you, but because you've already spent so much and you've invested so much in what you're already doing, it just puts you in a very difficult situation. 2, fear of failure. Because you've been in this current strategy for so long, you think relatively, even though you are not, probably let's talk about the stagnant business, even though you're not growing, your business is stagnant, it's okay, it's really not growing, but you're not also going out of business, so you keep it that way. And maybe this change might make or break you, and that fear of failure is something that will keep you away. You need to be able to overcome that. 3, the status quo bias, where people prefer to just maintain the current situation. Again, if trends are changing, if there's technological advancements, if consumer behavior is changing, you have no business staying where you are. But the status quo bias is something that would more or less try to keep you within what you're already used to, and that's something you need to move away from. And the fourth one is overconfidence. Now, you may have so much confidence in your current strategy that you do not see the need to change or to pivot when conditions suggest it. You need to be able to overcome that, because if you're unable to overcome that, then it becomes a different challenge that you have to work through. So this is just an overview of the need for change, how you navigate change, and that change comes in the form of pivoting, identifying when you need to change your business strategy and how you do it, and then identifying some of these barriers that would prevent you from moving strategy from what you are currently doing to what you need to be doing. It's important to be able to navigate the business landscape. Once again, this has been another episode of the Think Clinical podcast. We appreciate you always for joining us. Thank you so much, and we will see you again in our next episode.